Welcome, everybody, from across the planet in many continents. It's an honor for me to say that and a really big privilege. Welcome and thank you for joining us, and welcome to the new faces here that I haven't seen before. We'll try to acknowledge you at the end, or put something in the chat if this is your first Zoom. And okay, Molly.
Thank you, Bonnie. So first, we'd like to share a short video about Kulanu's work with different partner communities across 33 different countries where Kulanu works.
Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu. Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael.
And we'd also like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for today's event.
Hi there. I've just put on a Zoom session from Kulanu about Jews in Africa. So I don't know if you want to come and see it. It's just starting. Okay. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Bye.
Okay, we're going to mute everyone. And as for our sponsors, we'd like to thank the sponsors for today's program, starting with Edith Bruder, Stanley Markind, Richard Frankoff, Linda Friedman, Jane Lee, Leora Neal, Naomi Newberg, and Rabbi Gerald and Bonita Sussman. Thank you so much for your support. And I have the honor of introducing our two guest speakers today. We have Marla Brettschneider. She's a professor of political philosophy and women's studies at the University of New Hampshire and a longtime advocate of Jewish diversity and inclusion. She is the collection editor of the Mellon Press Africana Jewish Studies, The Jewish Phenomenon in Sub-Saharan Africa, which is also available on Amazon as well. Marla has spent decades working at the intersection of Jewish studies, global justice, and multiple layers of diversity theory. Her work with Kulanu and others has helped bring visibility and dignity to communities often overlooked in mainstream Jewish discourse. Our other speaker is Bonita Nathan Sussman, who is president of Kulanu and a passionate advocate for isolated, returning, and emerging Jewish communities around the globe. She is the co-editor of 4 of the books in the collection, Africana Jewish Studies, The Jewish Phenomenon in Sub-Saharan Africa. Bonita has traveled extensively to connect with these Jewish communities, forming deep bonds and fostering mutual learning. Her work is fueled by a deep commitment to Jewish peoplehood, inclusivity, and storytelling as a tool for connection. Thank you so much to Marla and Bonnie for joining us today. And I now turn it over to Bonita Nathan Sussman. You are muted.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you, Molly. And thank you, everyone, for coming. I want to tell you something about these books. They began with travels with my husband, Rabbi Gerald Sussman. We first went to India, and our second trip was Cameroon. And we saw that actually the future of Judaism lies within these emerging and returning Jewish communities on this planet. I took a camera. I didn't know anything about it. About documenting people, or I'm an amateur anthropologist. I bought a camera in Radio Shack when it was open, and I started taking pictures and making recordings of people that I didn't know through my travels. That's sort of what this is. The second piece is that when COVID started, our past president, may she rest in peace, Harriet Brograd, and I came up with the idea, how do we connect people? We should have Zooms. So we did a bunch of webinars or Zooms that featured Africans and Latin Americans, Indians and Indonesians, everyone who's involved with Kulanu, and we recorded them. At that point, I met Marla Brettschneider, and I was introduced to Marla through Professor Tudor Parfit and some of the work that he does. And Marla suggested that these Zooms and videos that I took get transcribed and put into books. Marla had connections to Edwin Mellon, which is an academic publisher. And so began the process. The Edwin Mellon was very generous and let us publish it again on Amazon and turn it into ebooks, which we'll tell you about later. The bulk of these books are transcriptions and documents, transcriptions of the words, actually, that the Africans recorded. There are 3 books. African Described Their Lives, Shema Jewish Voices Across Africa, and Chronicles documenting sub-Saharan Jewry. Okay? The first 2 are mainly about the communities, about their own words. And the third book is a lot of documents, like minutes from some of their meetings, publications, policy papers that they wrote up. Okay. Marla, would you like to say a few words about these books?
Hello, everyone. It is such a treat to get to be here. And I thank Kulanu and everyone who was alive and doing Kulanu and everyone who still is and keeping the just the organization and its work dynamic and relevant, and has the tech to do this, which I could never do. Things like this to just, on a Tuesday afternoon, you get a nice little bit. So Bonnie and I'm so grateful to Molly, love working with Molly, and I love working with Bonnie. And we are so different and came to this in some ways still, our hearts are very aligned in some ways, but came to this in very different ways. So as you said, I've long been doing Jewish diversity, politics, and political theorists. I'm technically trained as a political theorist, but I do Jewish diversity work. And I got involved in this work about the Jewish phenomenon in sub-Saharan Africa kind of by accident, and a little ways in, some years into that, I guess it was about 15 years ago or something, where we have to check, I did meet Bonnie. And so I'm coming from, I'm long also a Jewish organizational person, but in this sense, I was sort of coming from the academic side, and Bonnie is such an intellectual and a scholar. she was introduced as sort of coming from the organizational and activist side. And anyway, it's been tremendous. We've just done so many wonderful things over the years. Anyway, so what started to happen is I didn't plan to, but I got exposed to this field and I started to get very active in it in addition to my other kinds of work. And I wrote a single author book, and then I was also writing other articles as academic do or book chapters. And I started to realize that what I wanted to now use my time and my position, it's not like I'm some famous, well-funded academic, but everything's relative, right? That what was happening is that for the most part, most of the people who had anything published on this work were not from the communities themselves, mostly white and from the global north. Not everyone was Jewish, but the important thing was that they weren't living in those circumstances and they weren't from the communities. And that's really important. I think we all have every right to research, relate, develop our understandings, etc. But it was just becoming so obvious to me that as this academic field was developing, there weren't really voices from the communities. And so I had started to put more of my energy. And in my first co-edited book that I did, that was my main job. It was not the job. It was not the aim of my co-editors, but my main job was to try and get more folks from on the ground into the book. And that was quite a challenge, but whatever. So then I did another book on the Jewish community, hundreds of thousands strong, still in Ethiopia. And again, the point for that was very unique. Most of the chapters in the book are written by the members of the communities themselves. So this had become a thing that I wanted to do, my way to give back to the people and the academic field. And COVID was horrible, as I'm sure for many of you, and I was amazed by Harriet and Bonnie's incredible capacity to quickly change and realize we can still do programming. They used to have gorgeous in-person events. We can still do programming. We'll use Zoom or whatever. So they started doing these things, and I was on many of them as a participant or part of the audience. And at a certain point, I got this idea that what Bonnie was constructing was that she was having an array, which wasn't possible before. But since she was having an array of folks, different Zoom events, speak from the communities themselves, speaking, introducing their communities, talking about some of their challenges, some of their greatest wonders, all those things. And they had been recorded. And that could we possibly have a way to transcribe the recordings and publish them as actual books on paper? Very different venue. Bonnie appreciates books, but she was more the media person. And I was seeing it from a different angle and what a contribution it could make to also have in the world of books and whatever. And it was a grand project, and here we are. So anyway, I want to again thank the computers and contributors and all the people all over the world who helped us do this work, Molly and Bonnie, and now we want to get you some programming. So thank you. But the stories of how we come to this, other times we can tell more of those kinds of stories because they're also just wonderful stories, and they're very much related to the shaping and changing of the Jewish world today.
Thank you, Marla. That's a great segue into this because all of our stories are actually written in these books. A lot of our tales and how we met and the evolution of the process of beginning to document and what the actual burden of transposing to transcriptions became from videos that sometimes the English wasn't clear. And there was no transcription services when we began. Now it's very easy to transcribe. Marla had some interns at the university do transcriptions. It went through infinite editing, and the end is these books. So I want to begin. It's sort of a complicated process, how we thought we would do this. We're going to deal with like 6 countries, and it's going to be a combination of something about the country, something about and a video of the person actually speaking. And one of the benefits of getting the ebooks, which are now free for the next 3 days on Amazon, the links are live at the end of each chapter. So after you read a chapter, you can actually watch the person speak. And we want to incorporate that feeling into this Zoom. So first I'm going to talk about Tanzania, and I know Yehuda Kalani is on is registered here, and I saw him peep in here, and I don't like that I'm representing him because he's here in the real life, and he'll say hello, but tell me, Yehuda, how I did. Okay. Amir Kahalani and Efrat Kahalani are the leaders of a reconstituted Yemenite Jewish community that was established in Tanzania in the 1800s. In the 1930s, as anti-Semitism and Christian missionizing greatly increased, the community dissipated and later their synagogue demolished. Yehuda remembers his Yemenite grandfather. I have a clip here, Molly. A conversation about Shabbat, Sabaya, which is their challah, and mikvah with Efrat and Yehuda Kahalani.
Thank you. Actually, we started preparing Shabbat on Thursday because we have to do shopping of what we need for Shabbat. We don't always do Shabbat, shopping, buying groceries on Friday. By doing, the grocery on Thursday, then on Friday, as we wake up, we have myself, I have to be in the kitchen most of the time and start preparing challah. It's something that you put in the oven and it will take some hours. But of course, because we have also a big family, when I say a big family, it means we also expect some people to come from far and sleep over, but also some can come for dinner who are close, but they will feel that they can do, Shabbat.
Okay, so those words are transcribed in a book and much more. The clips are very long. So for this program, we just cut out a minute or two from each of the countries that we're using. Yehuda, would you like to come and introduce yourself and say how I did? I know.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm actually not in Arusha. I'm in Nairobi now. That's the signal is not very good where I am. There was a bit of noise when you are talking, so I could not follow very well. But absolutely, what you have been doing and what Kulanu have been doing, particularly for our community, it has been a milestone. And since then, despite that, we're still vigilant, particularly during these times of the war in Israel. But we have been more free as we know that we have the backup. And thank you so much for the great work you have been always doing for Israel all over the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Marla, would you like to talk about Côte d'Ivoire?
Sure. Very exciting. So let me get a little organized here. Actually, Bonnie, you wanted to do a little bit from Professor Furman first, and then I'll do another one.
Oh, was I? Okay.
I'm happy to do that if you want, but we have you here.
Okay, guys. I'm Oh. Huh.
And then you need to read the first few paragraphs from the book after you do the introduction.
Oh, okay, yes, I see that I messed up. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Côte d'Ivoire. And it has a multi-decade history of forming synagogues, study groups, and Jewish organizations. In 2017, a Beit Din, a rabbinical court of Orthodox ordained rabbis, traveled to Côte d'Ivoire to finalize the conversion process for over 60 people. Following the conversions, these visiting rabbis also did 6 traditional Jewish weddings for members of the community who had formally converted. In 2017, there were 3 communities in Côte d'Ivoire. As of 2024, there is 1 remaining of the original 3. There is also a Breslov Hasidic community that is not known to the main Breslov communities in Israel. And as of 2025, I think there's another 2 communities that are there. More recently, Côte d'Ivoire hosted the Sub-Saharan African Jewish Alliance Conference in 2022, which was the first time that 10 sub-Saharan African countries gathered to meet and spend Shabbat together. And the most amazing thing that happened at this conference is that people in one country didn't know there were Jews in another country. And it was like a big love festival. That's what I could say. And SAJA, the Sub-Saharan African Jewish Alliance, was formed there. It still exists. It has committees, it has meetings, and it speaks on behalf of Sub-Saharan Jewry to people in Israel, to development organizations, and whatever else needs representation. Fearman is the pro-vice chancellor at the Charles Lewis de Montesquieu University, and he had coordinated this event. And now we're going to hear a little bit from Fearman directly.
Our community exists since 2001, and it was created thanks to the blessing of the Rabbi, who was the dean of the Kabbalah Center. He was in the 80s, and he gave us the instruction to spread the Zohar knowledge and wisdom, and to get people to connect to the Jewish festivals. So when we started, we had more than 20 people. They were not all Jewish. They all came to attend our meetings, and we had also Zohar classes, and this. And we used to go to Israel to visit the Tzaddikim sites, and that's what the way to run until 2010. So 2010, we broke away from the Kabbalah Center. Our community exists since 2001, and it was created thanks to the.
Okay, so I will continue reading from what he says here. I don't know if you heard clearly what he said, but he said additionally, until approximately 2012, some in our group were able to go to Morocco and Israel to visit the sites of tzaddikim, tombs of the mystical saints. In 2010, we created an independent group as we wanted to create an explicitly Jewish community based on Kabbalah's grounding in halacha, Jewish law, and Kedusha, holiness. When we began again in 2010, we lost some members of the community, and we were a group of about 70 or 80 people. Now we are almost 100 people. In 2013, we met another Jewish man, an Ashkenazi shochet, one who knows how to slaughter animals for kosher meat. He helped us to improve our understanding of halacha, the festivals, how to keep Shabbat, and how to keep the rules of kashrut. From then, our community developed more and more into Sephardi rules. We used the Sidurim prayer books of the Sephardi tradition. For example, we learned Sephardi ways to say the prayers, and we used Shir HaShirim. The Sephardi traditions are really different from the Ashkenazi ones. What happened for singing, for instance, we like very much some American Jewish traditions because there are drums and rhythms. We also love the Karbach tunes. On Pesach, we keep the Ashkenazi tradition because we don't eat rice. This is part of the more standard Ashkenazi rules. While we are Sephardi in tradition, generally, we sometimes use Ashkenazi prayers because we love them very much. So that's what I'm going to read from Firmin. If you want to read the rest of it, you got to get the book, Shema Jewish Voices Across Africa. Okay, Marla, the next piece.
Fantastic. We're going to stay, we're going to stay in Cote d'Ivoire a little bit longer because there's something else to share that was just so incredibly sweet. So often, as might not be surprising, the leadership of many of these organizations and communities are men, and the women are extremely active, involved, and important, and you might not always see them. And so we often did also ask for some specific time with groups of women and in different ways, and did so much work over the years, Bonnie and I, in person. And so so we're going to stay in Cote d'Ivoire with one of these groups in 2014. That the first time we met with Firmin, we've both been back to Cote d'Ivoire since. We also met with these other numerous groups in the city of Abidjan. And what we're going to share with you is from the book. It's from a conversation we had one time. The community helped us organize a whole meeting with a whole group of women from the community, and it had to be translated because my French is terrible and whatever. So from the Beta Israel community. So we're going to watch a little clip just so you get a little feel. There's not much content in there, but we want you to get a little feel of try and take in the background, the settings, the incredible humans, and then I'll do the same thing like Bonnie, read a little bit from the book.
You should introduce each other because you might not know.
Elle dit que c'est pour qu'il y a une nouvelle qui vient d'arriver. Voilà, elle est d'arriver, donc on va se présenter à nouveau.
So I'm Marla, as you know.
Elle est Marla, comme vous le savez. And I'm Gladys Nyambo, that's
You should introduce each other because you might not.
Thank you so much. So it was extraordinary to be in this room. Some of these women we were starting to meet, many of the women we had maybe been in service with them, but hadn't really gotten to know yet. And the way they opened their hearts to us and shared with us in confidential and not confidential ways. We're not going to share anything confidential. Is just really beautiful. So I'm just going to read you from a couple of the women that we transcribed. So this was spoken in French and then translated into English for mostly my benefit. Bonnie has some French. And then eventually we transcribed this section. So this is one woman. And so she's being referred to as she because the translators talk about. She is empty, so I'm reading here. She is empty in her head, in her heart, but full of Judaism inside. She is empty because of all the things she went through. She lost her mother when she was very young. She lost her child when he was 10 years old. She lost her husband, who was sick for many years. She lost everybody. She used to take care of her grandma, and her grandma passed away. On top of that, she had to quit her job, and all the businesses that she had done had vanished. She got ill and thought she was going mad and never thought there would be a time that she would have peace and happiness again. She has a lack of words to express the feeling she has right now for the sense of peace and happiness that she came to find in Judaism. Her soul has joy. Now that she is Jewish, she sees things differently. She accepts everything that happens. She doesn't complain. She knows that what she has to do, the mitzvot, even though she knows to do them, even though it's not always easy. She understands now what's really important. She faces these difficulties and accepts them now and understands that it is what God wants. And again, that's said in the third person, but the actual woman was speaking to us originally. This one said in the first person, we'll just share from one more woman. My life is not easy. I got married in 1992, and until today, I'm still struggling with my husband. But I can't really see what's going on between us. The guy hasn't talked to me since 2008. We've been blessed with 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys. Even if I'm sick, he doesn't care. Even if I'm hungry, he doesn't care. Even if I die tomorrow, he doesn't care. You can see how personally and confidentially people shared with us. It was a confidential meeting. I went to school. I have a diploma. I have to travel with a man, so you can clearly understand that I have to put down my load so that I can follow him. I was doing nothing for almost 22 years. Now my kids are grown and I'm getting older, but life is life. If I could change my life, I would do it. No, I'm not regretting anything. I'm past 40 years old, and when you reach that kind of age, it's not easy to find a job. But God has blessed me. My children want me to pay for their going to college, and some are educating these communities. They need a lot of things I don't have, but God will help me. I don't have right now what we want, but I just want to be. I can't be a God. I can't be an angel. I just want to really be human. So that's two of the women in the group.
Okay, thank you, Marla. You could read more about the women in the book.
Shema.
Okay. Shema, Jewish Voices Across Africa. Okay, I'm going to present The Prince of Madagascar. It's sort of unbelievable that the actual Prince of Madagascar considers himself part of the Jewish people, as with Israelite origins. When we were in Madagascar that time, we held a conference and he was one of the keynote speakers. We have a slice of him that you could watch him speak, and I will read to you some more of his words. Okay, Molly, the video, please.
Descendants. I'm also one of the descendants of Aaron, the priest. The priest.
There
were three ways that the Israelites took to come here in Madagascar. The first way is from Israel to Egypt, and they passes by Ethiopia, and then they passed Kenya, Comoros, and last in Madagascar.
Okay, you should know that these are videos I take on my cell phone and cheap cameras. Okay, and they turned into like this documentary kind of thing for generations to look at. Okay, so we can also, so he read the last paragraph. And I'm reading this from the first book, Jewish Africans Describe Their Lives, evidence of an unrecognized indigenous people. We can find, let's see where I can start. The Jewish Hebrew people in Madagascar have been practicing strict endogamy from generation to generation. Nowadays in Israel, we can call people Jews when their mother is a Jew. But for us, we can call someone a Jew if the mother and father are both Jews from the 12 tribes of Israel. We can find in Madagascar the oldest form of the Hebrew language in the world because the Jewish people came to Madagascar 3,400 years ago. We can find here the oldest examples of the Hebrew language and dialects in the world. One example of ancient form of Hebrew word is salama, a Malagasy Hebrew word. The word salama is older than the word shalom. Moreover, the name of the center of Madagascar is Ankoba, which means Yaakov, Jacob. We can also talk about the island surrounding Madagascar called Basas de India in the west of Madagascar. The real name of this island is Baxios de Juda, Basas of Yehuda. These islands around Madagascar are also Jewish islands. Our Jewish ancestors came from Israel to Maronesetra in the northeast of Madagascar at the times of Her Majesty King David and his Majesty King David and His Majesty King Solomon. In addition, more than 20 writers and historians have written books about the 12 tribes of Israel in Madagascar. In 1598 AD, Admiral Jacob Cornelius van Neck from Holland wrote about the Jewish people in Madagascar. But before that, some Portuguese people who came here to Madagascar in the 1500s were Jews. For example, some of them were European Jews with names such as Aaron and Benjamin. Okay, so if you want to hear more of the actual prince, it's sort of cool because I'm in contact with him. Occasionally he sends me an email, and we're certainly Facebook friends. So if you want to read more of the Prince of Madagascar, he's in some of our books. Okay.
So I'll bring us over to Cameroon. Hello. So we'll have some information and a description of some of the Jewish communities in Cameroon. There are actually many, so we can't talk about them all, but also focus on one of the longer-term leaders, Salah Laurent Eluana. He's known in his communities as Rabbi. Two of the communities of the many Jewish communities in Cameroon were founded by Laurent. He is a polymath, philosopher, writer, computer science engineer who holds a doctoral degree in biblical economics and formerly served as an evangelical bishop. So this material is, again, back from Jewish Africans, describe their lives. And the many Jewish groups in Cameroon have different origin stories. Some claim that they're descendants from the ancient tribes of Israel, and we have working relationships with many of them. So I'm going to read a little from Laurent first. So this is his words. It's very hard to express an experience coming from the unreasonable dream, which you can call your faith, or simply a miracle, or the language of the heart, or even the spirit. We used to be a large evangelical church with more than 3,000 members, spreading to around 30 local congregations, which I founded under the name of the Evangelist Christ Gospel Mission. Being the head bishop and traveling all over the world, including the USA as a guest speaker, I was also made an honorable citizen of Rio de Janeiro and so on. Now, despite all the glory and money that went with that, a huge void, an endless vacuum grew up in my soul, feeling like I was homeless in the world until the day in my office when I prayed loudly, "Dear God, I need to know the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob." 3 days later, I heard an answer. I heard a clear voice. You want to know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is what you are going to do. You will have to restart the reading of the Bible anew and forget about all you have known and all you have been taught. And he did that. And he's been doing it ever since.
And I want to add about Rabbi Bezalel Laurent Eluana. He is working with like 5 or 6 communities in Cameroon, and he just is making a trip to Gabon to do some educational teaching there. Okay, these are brave people. These are people who stand with their conviction and put their money where their mouth is. I mean, the Mesirut Nefesh, the dedication, the self-sacrifice that they have to go through to create community anew and to change their belief system. And it's just totally awe-inspiring. Okay, I want to, the last person I want to deal with, because it's sort of Laurent is here. Oh my gosh. Okay, Laurent, how did we do?
A church with more than 3,000 members within, spreading around 30 local congregations, which I founded under the name of Mission Évangélique du Christ, Christ Gospel Mission, being the head bishop traveling all over the world, including in the USA, as guest speaker. I was also made honorable citizen of Rio de Janeiro and so on. Despite all the glory and the money we went with, on the contrary, a huge void, endless vacuum grew up in my soul, feeling like a homeless in the world, until the day in my office when I prayed loudly. There used to be a large evangelical church.
I actually thought he was online because that's what he looks like.
Oh,
And that was the video. It's like funny, right? Okay. The last person we're gonna deal with, and maybe we should show the video first. Or maybe this was better when we yeah, let's show the video first.
Out there, I am Abraham Ben Abraham, writer, editor, and the founder of the Jewish Nigeria blog, which is a branch of the Jewish Nigeria Media Network. Jewish Nigeria is a geographical location of the 80+ synagogues found in this part of the world practicing mostly Orthodox Rabbinical Judaism. With the population estimate of over 10,000 people, our Jewish brothers and sisters can be found in 4 regions in Nigeria and in over 13 states of the Federation.
Okay, so I hope you're all understanding that these are transcriptions from these videos. So I'm going to continue from where he left off. Even without any resident rabbi, various congregations have continued to grow up in their study of Torah, and thanks to the internet, which made it possible for instant connection with Jewish people all over the world, including rabbis, teachers, explorers, diplomats, and friends, hence making the exchange of information and Jewish material possible and easy. Growing relations with Israel and visits of Israeli teachers have also helped us unite to build a vibrant and zealous Jewish population. Israel is not the only place that would have teachers visit us in the past. In 2019, an African teacher from Uganda was sent by Kulanu. He moves from one state to another and from one synagogue to another synagogue, teaching Torah. Before then and up to now, Kulanu's objective has continued to focus on reaching out and collaborating with returning, emerging, and isolated Jews around the world. Interestingly, our people here are classified as returning Jews, tracing our ancestors' links through Eri and Arodi, linking it up to the God tribe of ancient Israel. Okay, and if you want more, it's also in Shema, Jewish Voices Across Africa. I see we haven't really talked that much about Chronicles. Chronicles has a bunch of documents in it. Yeah, I think I may have mentioned it before. Oh, there's a copy of it. It's got, Marla, you want to read? It's got Ethiopian documents. Marla, you could read some of the table of contents.
Well, I think we want to make sure there's Q&A. It covers a range of countries and multiple communities. And Bonnie and I, we're not historians, we're not archivists, but we came to realize that both of us, mostly Molly, was holding on to a treasure trove of primary documents that should be housed somewhere. And as yet, there are no archives. And so by at least getting this into press, Library of Congress number, et cetera. So we did our best, and maybe some of it's a blessing that we weren't formally trained, because we have a gorgeous collection of materials. And so we haven't talked about October 7th, but there's a whole series of materials from October 7th. Sometimes there's topic related things about conversation about, is there anti-Semitism in Africa? There's about SAJA, the Sub-Saharan African Jewish Alliance. And we have board minutes and we have letters, and we have letters of support from communities to ambassadors, all sorts of stuff. We have so much wonderful stuff. We have a number of things from 2 communities in Ethiopia, one that the other book is on, and then this small community that got ended up in a Sudanese refugee camp, and what happened with them also with October 7th. Anyway, so just quickly, we have materials and just gorgeous stuff from Ghana and Madagascar, Uganda, and Nigeria, and just a lot of other concrete documents if people want to see. So they're really accessible to just the ordinary lay person. They're fascinating, and we also just really hope that they will be of help to the communities over time to have this at least group in one place, and then also provide opportunities for researchers in the future.
Okay, thank you. Molly, would you like to open up for Q&A time?
Yes, so if anyone has any questions, you can type them in the chat and we'll be glad to get to ask our speakers. And if you want, if it's easier, you can unmute as well, as long as that doesn't get too confusing.
And we also have Teta Wilberforce from Africa, if you want to speak up. I haven't met you in person. I'm so glad that you're here. So if you want to ask questions to other folks in Africa or to anyone else or share anything, that would be lovely as well.
Could I say something? Okay. From what you presented about the I said there were several islands that I hear right around Madagascar that the Israelites had settled in, and I was wanting to know, when the Bible talks about the isles, are those the islands they're talking about?
There would be different answers. There are definitely people in the communities in Madagascar who might think so. I can't say exactly, but that's the way we want people starting to. It was a beautiful question and a great insight. We want people, once we're exposed more to this vibrant phenomenon, we can start asking really new questions that maybe we didn't know to ask before. So I can't answer exactly, but other people are working on answers, and I really just want to shout out for a great question.
Okay, thank you.
I want to answer a question I just saw about are there reform conservative Jews? Okay, so Uganda is the most famous. The Abiyadaya is the most famous group that Kulanu deals with. It's been in the press the most. It's been the most obvious community in sub-Saharan Africa. If people think of Jews in Africa beside Ethiopians, they think of the Abiyadaya. Having said that, the Abiyadaya are mostly conservative Jews, mostly. And part of, they're written up in our books. There's a big interview, a great interview with Rabbi Gershon Suzomu in it, who discusses the whole history of the Abiyadaya and his involvement and the conservative nature. Right now in Uganda, there are also 3 to 5 Orthodox but small groups that have emerged. We did a survey of these communities in 2021, like representatives from 10 or 11 communities, and 70% call themselves Orthodox, which I found interesting, even though their practice does not look like New York Judaism or the Orthodox you find in America. They use primarily Orthodox prayer books. They have separation of seating of all different levels. The other 2 main communities, Ghana and Kenya, well, Ghana is split between Orthodox and conservative. Kenya is a strong conservative community. It's very attached. It was very attached to Uganda. And in Nigeria, we have a couple of progressive communities that are connected to the Union for Progressive Judaism. So yes, there's a variety. Part of the reason we picked these readings is because the videos were easy to access, and they were short, and we could find the pages in the books easy. So that's part of that was sort of random about that. Is there any other questions, Molly? I saw that one.
Nothing else except explaining how to access the ebooks. So there are people that are definitely interested in purchasing them. And there's a few people that have already started reading them that are telling us how great they are.
So they want to know how to get the ebook.
How to get the book. Yep.
Okay. So I have a whole thing which I ChatGPT'd in case you don't have a Kindle. How do you read an ebook? Okay. So first of all, you can download the Kindle app for free, and it will go to your Kindle app. You can get it on an iPad and an iPhone from an app store, an Android tablet or phone, Mac or Windows computer from Amazon Kindle app page. Once installed, you sign in with your Amazon account. Any Kindle books you've purchased will appear in your library automatically. Actually, if you buy the softcover books, they're $18, and the money goes to Kulanu. Marla and I have volunteered this. There's also a Kindle reader, cloud reader, a web browser. You don't even have to download the Kindle app. You can also read your Kindle ebooks directly in a browser without downloading anything. Just go to, there's a link here, https://readamazon.com. Sign in with your Amazon account, and you will be able to read this book. Your Kindle books will appear there. Even if you don't have a Kindle, you can still buy Kindle books on the Amazon website, and they'll be available right away, immediately. Hey, I don't know if that's clarified or that made everything else muddy.
Sure, we could post that somewhere, but there are many ways you can access the free
Molly,
books.
would you like to post some?
You access them by going to
the easiest link is kulanu.org/ebook. So I put the link in the chat, and then you'll get redirected to the Amazon page, which has all the books in the series listed there. And they are free. The ebooks are free. Those versions, the online versions, are free through Thursday. So we have 3 days free that we're giving away right now. And then someone also was wondering about purchasing the book other ways and for public libraries. So I think that would be a question for Marla.
You're free to ask your local or university or organizational libraries to purchase any or all of these books, and that would be wonderful. And so if you're going to a library or institution, we're going to ask you to go and have them, anyone can request that a library institution purchase a book. So if you didn't know that, we're going to ask you to have them go directly to Mellon Press, the official publisher of the books, because they deserve, they don't earn it. We don't really earn money on the, we don't really earn any money on this at all. And it goes to Kulanu anyway. And everything that the press actually allowed us to do with Amazon, they allowed us to do knowing that they don't get a cent of that money. So we do ask people who are going to get their libraries and institutions to purchase any of these books to please purchase through Mellon Press. They deserve, they need to keep their lights on and respect from the work that we've done with them. And if you're buying for yourself, we have arranged with them that we have this relatively inexpensive $18 paperbacks online via Amazon. So if you want it for yourself, we'd love for you to buy it, the inexpensive version on Amazon. If you're buying for a library or institution, please have that institution go to the Mellon, MELLEN website and order directly from them.
Okay, because I have a question. I have a question. Okay. Okay. If you buy the paperback books, how do you get access to the videos that you said was connected to?
Okay, that's a complicated question. There is links that are printed in the softcover books. So you would have to copy the link, write it out and put it in your browser, and you'll see the conversations.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
in the paper books, but as you know, paper books don't have live links. So you could always get to the same places to view the videos from that, or you can also download a free copy for yourself that's electronic. And when you want them, you can read your paper. And if you want it easy, just press to the link. You can use your free download for that purpose. But yeah, a lot of us really like paper and we would like to read on paper. So there's a few ways to do it.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't make out everything you were saying. But,
Are there any additional questions?
So input else is can I purchase a hard copy? Yes, those are available.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Yeah, Marla, you've gotten soft for some reason.
I stopped hearing. Is someone talking? Okay, I want to close up. Okay, ways you can. Marla, I don't hear you.
I'm just gonna write. I'm just gonna check.
Can people hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Bonnie. Marla, it seems to her mic went soft for some reason, but
Okay.
that's okay. She's gonna message in the chat and you can finish up.
Okay, ways you can help Kulanu. Invite us to present at synagogues, JCCs, and federations. Okay, we will try to get there. We would like to be on people's agendas so that you hear about. It's not only about the books, it's about these communities, to make these communities known in America, all over the world, that there are Jews living in sub-Saharan Africa. Kulanu's in 33 countries, but the contracts that Marla got for these books were only for sub-Saharan Africa. So these books are only sub-Saharan Africa, but the communities are all over. Get the books reviewed for any publication. I mean, sometimes you're connected to local Jewish newspapers or I don't know, whatever, your newsletters or your magazines, or I say like Hadassah or National Council of Jewish Women or monthly meetings or something like that. Share the book. We could do Zoom presentations with them. Tell your friends about us and consider legacy giving. I know I keep getting questions. People are, who are, planning end of life plans to consider putting Kulanu in your will. I know we're getting people my age group who are have mandatory distributions in their IRAs. We're often getting contributions from their IRAs. And you can always donate online to support our communities. I want to thank Molly for doing everything she can that make these Zooms really memorable. There'll be a link posted on our website if you want to share the link. And thank you, Molly, Marla, and everybody. I know July 4th is coming up. I hope you celebrate July 4th in whichever way you'd like to celebrate July 4th. That's it. I see more questions. Are there more questions? Thank you. Oh.
No, there are no more questions. I just put the links in there so everyone can have access to the Mellon Press as well as the Amazon links. So
okay, stay tuned. We hope you enjoyed this, and shalom lehitraot.
Eli, I don't know if you can hear me. We love doing Zooms, but we also love coming to communities and working with you in person. It's really so lovely. And we've done them before, and we always have new material. So we'd love to see you in anyway.
Okay. And I hope this was a little breath of fresh air to our complicated times. It took your mind off some of the problems here. Okay, thank you. Bye.